Crazy here, crazy here.
All right. Why? There we go. Oh, hello. Welcome.
Tap that screen.
You were too fast. Hello. We are reading our book. Got a little bit of changes in here. Not too shabby. Tap the screen. Becky's a baddie. Because of you, I got the book Atomic Habits. Did you? That's awesome. It's a great book. It is a really good book. I want to read that book again. I know I started it, and I've started a few times, but I only finished it once. It's a really good book, though. All right. Now, I am going to turn back a couple pages. This is really good stuff. I actually was like, I should reread this, but we do have to press on. So I'm just going to reread it from this part, this book, this page. All right. So we're going to read from 32 to 42. The question Gordon Newfo said to me becomes, what are the irreducible needs of the child? By irreducible, he means a need that the child cannot do without if she is to reach her nature-endowed potential, one that, if not met, will incur negative consequences. As he told the European Parliament, it is true maturation, not schooling, learning, or genetics, that is key to becoming fully human and humane. We cannot teach maturity, nor can we cajole, entice, or coerce a child into it. What is required of us is to ensure the developmental conditions that satisfy the child's non-negotiable needs. From there, nature more or less takes care of the rest. There are 4 irreducible needs for human maturation in Dr. Newfield's astute formulation. These 4 needs are both simultaneous and build one on the other in pyramidal fashion. I invite you, the reader, to consider how well our culture satisfies them for our children or fails to do so. 1. The attachment relationship. Children's deep sense of contact and connection with those responsible for them. Observe how my own neural expectation for such contact instilled in infant me by ends of evolution was frustrated within the first days and weeks of my life. Keep in mind that what matters in the child is the child's sense of attachment. It has nothing to do with whether or how much the parents love the child or feel connected to her. Many young and well-meaning parents, myself and wife included, have made the error of gauging the relationship by how they are feeling, how much attachment they are experiencing. Yet what makes the biggest difference is not what is sent so much as what is received by the child. It takes relatively mature or well-supported parents to be able to tune into the child's emotional needs as distinct from their own. 2, a sense of attachment security that allows the child to rest from the work of earning his right to be who he is and as he is. Once foundational security is established, the young one can relax comfortably. This is the condition Dr. Newfeld identifies as rest, one in which the child does not have to strive for attachment with the parent, nor work to maintain the right equilibrium of contact. This state is the soil in which the roots of healthy development can firmly take hold. From there, we can reliably expect emotional, social, and intellectual growth to follow. Despite my mother's love for me, I was essentially put to work from the moment I was born. No rest for the innocent. Contrary to her anxious half joke that before I was 3 weeks of age, I ought to be old enough of a fellow by now to realize that nighttime is for sleeping, not for eating. I was years away from psychologically being able to realize anything, much less that my needs were up for barter. 3. Permission to feel one's emotions, especially grief, anger, sadness, and pain. In other words, the safety to remain vulnerable. Since emotion is the engine of maturation, when children lose their tender feelings, they become stuck in their immaturity, Newfield explains. For the emotions to remain accessible, the environment must allow them to be safely experienced, meaning the child's expression of feelings cannot threaten the attachment relationship with the parents. For reasons we have already begun to glimpse, many children in our culture are shut off from their authentic feelings. And how would they not be, given the conformist expectations of society, amplified through parenting advice liberally dispensed by behavioral experts? Consider the prescription of psychologist and mega best-selling author Jordan Peterson. An angry child should sit by himself until he calms down. Then he should be able to return to normal life. That means the child wins instead of his anger. The rule is, come be with us as soon as you can behave properly. This is a very good deal for child, parent, and society. Is it though? Notice the assumption. Anger in a young child is neither normal nor acceptable. Contra her inborn need for unconditional warmth, any positive response to the child is to be distinctively conditional. She is not to be accepted for who she is, only for how she is. Here's the problem. Even if the parent wins the behavior modification game, the child loses. We have instilled in her the anxiety of being rejected if her emotional self were to surface. This exacts a heavy toll on both physical and mental health. While the expression of an emotion can be inhibited or even its conscious experience blocked, the emotion itself is energy that cannot be obliterated. By banishing feelings from awareness, we merely send them underground, a locked cellar of emotions that will continue to haunt many lives. I know for myself that the early hardening of my heart to my own pain shielded me not only from grief, but also from joy. Rediscovering joy, or better yet, discovering it newly, remains part of my life's journey to this day. The experience number 4. I have never seen Cat's Eye. Nope, never seen it. Number 4, the experience of free play in order to mature. Rather than a frivolous activity to grow out of, play is a requirement for the healthy development of all mammalian species. Jack Panksepp coined a name for the neural system governing true recreation. To go with panic, grief, and care, the play system, he wrote, may be especially important in the epigenetic development and maturation of the neurocortex. A lack of secure infant bonding and a lack of early play, he asserted, can be contributing factors in the genesis of conditions such as ADHD, as well as adult irritability and aggression. Authentic play, agenda-free, interactive, engaging joy and imagination, and rarer than ever these days, person to person, is easily compromised when children are under conditions of stress and deprivation. Nor is it compatible with being distracted and mesmerized by digital technology, a vexing issue we will revisit in Chapter 13. If the overall goal of development is to foster in children a felt sense of being alive in a nurturing world, how it feels to be human, in Raffi's wonderful phrase, then we have utterly lost the plot. It takes a culture in good running order with social structures that take the cue from nature's dictates to support parents in ensuring the child's irreducible needs. How and why so many of our children's needs are going unmet will be the subject of our next chapters. Sheesh! What's up? All right. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4 pages so far. I need a sip of my tea. How is your kids? I don't have a husband, but my kids are doing amazing. My future husband, I'm sure, is doing amazing, but I don't know who he is or where he is or how he's doing. Working hard to get to me, obviously. My children are fabulous. We just went on a really, really long walk. We went on a 45-minute walk. So they did my first workout with me, my first outdoor workout with me. I'm trying so hard to read this book while also not falling asleep. I is tired. These kids keep me up all night long and have since they were born. It is rough. But once I start getting sleep, game changer, I know. Sleep is so crucial. All right. It holds my big brain. Okay. Trouble at the threshold. Before we come into the world. My Tristram's misfortune began 9 months before he ever came into the world. Walter Shandy in The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, 1759, by Lawrence Sterne. It's always wild reading a year like that. 1759. Like, I think of 1999, and I just didn't see 17 anything existing. I'm reading The Myth of Normal. Dear little son, daughter, I feel you kicking inside me. I am terribly sad and discouraged and frightened now, but I love you and will protect and nourish you with all the love in the world. This adrenaline you feel is not meant for you, nor flows because of you. One day I'll tell you about your gestation, and I hope that if you carry with you ambivalent or painful memories, when I tell you the truth, you'll be able to heal. Dear little child, your daddy will love you, too, when he gets to know you. He can't feel you moving inside him as I do inside me. So wrote my wife when we were experiencing our unexpected third child. It was a difficult period for us, and especially for Ray. She was stressed, unhappy, and anxious. What should have been a period of joy and mutual preparation felt like a lonely slog. I, the daddy in the story, was in my mid-40s, outwardly a successful physician and columnist. Yet who was I within myself and within the four-walled world of our home? A depressed, anxious, psychologically underdeveloped man, years away from addressing his core wounds. A man whose family bore the burdens of his dysfunctional, erratic, and emotionally hostile behaviors. A man whose workaholism took the form at home of physical and emotional absence. even negligence. A man addicted to his own internal drama, not knowing how to be responsible for his not knowing how to be responsible for his actions and mind states or their impacts on his family, least of all his child to be. I'm going to wait till it stops. Do 10 lookups. Oh, hopefully it's not broken. That would suck. I would feel bad if it was broken. But also turn it off. Okay, well, I guess we'll just continue. I hope you guys can hear me reading over the giant. A man addicted to his own internal drama, not knowing how to be responsible for his actions and mind states or the impacts of them on his family, least of all his child to be. Ray's diarized correspondence with the baby growing inside her showed how much she intuitively understood long before I did about human development and about the dynamics that so often distort its natural course in this culture. If you're getting out, turn it off. Hi, I'm trying to read. Do you need the car on? No. Sorry, it's just really loud. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Long before I did about human development and about the dynamics that so often distort its natural course in this culture. In our chapter on trauma, I pointed out that prior to becoming creators of our environment, we are its creations. Before we develop the capacity to take part in constructing our universe, the world fashions us. By what medium? At the beginning, through the bodies and minds and circumstances of our parents, who themselves are molded by the state of the world around them and by the histories of preceding generations. In this way, our own body minds are products of the larger culture from the start, a life course that begins with conception. Before proceeding further, a necessary caution. Many readers will feel some alarm at the phrase begins with conception, which has been heavily politicized in the ongoing cultural religious debate over abortion rights. It is easy to see how a science-based recognition of the needs of the unborn can become political fodder for an anti-choice, pro-life view. All the more reason that I be extremely clear about what I do and don't mean. As a physician, I am well aware of the suffering imposed when women's right to choose is denied. There is no argument in this chapter or anywhere in this book for denying the right of autonomy when it comes to making such life decisions. It has never been more vital that we speak about human development and its womb to tomb trajectory. It is also a highly delicate matter. For one thing, looking squarely at anything involving harm to children is difficult, often painful. Worse, when these topics arrive, mothers and fathers might get the impression they are being judged, castigated, or impugned, which is doubly unfortunate. First, because in this culture, too many parents, and I speak as one myself 3 times over, already shoulder crippling guilt, already feel defensive. Second, because blame is neither helpful nor remotely justified. We are all doing our best. My contention, really the thrust of this whole book, is that our best deserves to be better and can be if we incorporate the growing body of knowledge now available to us. I aim only to shed light on dynamics our entire culture needs to understand. This and the next chapter begin at our very beginnings, tracing our culture's failures to follow the developmental templates of gestation and birth as laid down by evolution. The child's ambivalent or painful memories that Ray foresaw in her pregnancy journal are not poetic invention. Intauterine experiences may not be accessible to conscious recall, but they can live on as a different kind of memory. Emotional and neurological imprints embedded in the cells and nervous system of the psychiatrist Thomas Verney calls this process body-wide memory. A pioneer in recognizing the long-term influence of the intauterine period on emotional health, Verney published his groundbreaking The Secret Life of the Unborn Child in 1982. In his sequel to that book, he wrote, "Before the event of birth, before we have even had a glimmer of sight or sound in the womb, we record the experience and history of our lives in ourselves. In recent decades, a deluge of fresh information has underscored the crucial importance of women's physical environment. Health and emotional balance during pregnancy to the optimal development of the infant. Meanwhile, our era has also brought substantial increases in the number of children, adolescents, and young people facing depression, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. Genetics on their own cannot begin to account for such abrupt shifts. If we are serious about reversing trends like this, it is critical that we connect the dots by looking to the environment. Environment does not begin at birth. Environment begins as soon as you have an environment. The neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky has said, as soon as you're a fetus, you are subject to whatever information is coming through mom's circulation, hormone levels, and nutrients. A very early factor is the stresses pregnant women are under: emotional, economic, personal, professional, and social. As the physician and psychoanalyst Ursula Volz-Burs points out, in uterine life is not a paradise as some people try to make us believe. We are the receiver of all the happiness and of all the anxieties and difficulties of our parents. Man. But of course, even the earliest factor has its own earlier factors, namely the intolerable pressures contemporary society plays on the rearing milieu, the family, and on the developing young. And as epigenetics teaches us, on the very activation of DNA itself. We need to consider to what extent our culture, including employment and the healthcare and insurance systems, supports or undermines women's capacity to hold their unborn infants' needs as a high social priority. How many women are asked during prenatal checkups about their mental and emotional states? What stresses at home or on the job they may be experiencing? How many future physicians are even taught to pose such questions? How many spouses are helped to understand their responsibility to protect their expectant partners from undue stress and travail? How many businesses make provisions for their pregnant employees' relief? That last question has an especially dismal answer. Women frequently report a pregnancy hostile work milieu, especially in lower paid jobs. But even in supportive workplaces, women are often burdened by the pressures they have absorbed and put on themselves to perform, advance, even excel in a contents mad society. Work rarely stays at work. My eyes. Yeehaw! You found my channel? Yay! I cannot. This dim circles me. I am. I'm trying to keep awake. I was under so much stress for all of my pregnancies. 26 minutes? Dang, we're almost 8 pages down. That's like half the time as usual. That's crazy. And I'm getting more flexible. As Ray instituted, the baby feels the mother's stress directly. By listening intently to movements and heartbeats, researchers are finding that the fetuses of mothers who are stressed or depressed respond differently from those of emotionally healthy women. The New York Times reported as far back as 2004. After birth, studies indicate these infants have a significantly increased risk of developing learning and behavioral problems and may themselves be more vulnerable to depression and anxiety as they age. Essential neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine that later play key roles in mood regulation, impulse control, attention, motivation, and the modulation of aggression, and are implicated in the very behavioral and mood difficulties the article mentions, are affected by prenatal stress on the mother. Babies of moms stressed in pregnancy have lower levels of these brain chemicals and higher levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Not surprisingly, the same study showed that these newborns also had less developed learning skills. They were less responsive to social stimulation, and they were less able to calm themselves when agitated. How many kids did I put out? 4. I know. My body is talking to me. I'll probably take a nap. I've been trying to get a 20-minute nap in, and then I'll eat, and then I will prep or make dinner, probably both at the same time. And then I will come and do my last workout for the day. And I really, really, really need to get a whole night's sleep tonight. I have not got a whole night's sleep in a couple weeks, it feels like. So I've been getting 3 to 4 hours broken up, and it is definitely taking its toll on me. Okay. Beyond brain substance levels, there is evidence suggesting that maternal mind states during pregnancy and postpartum shape the very structure of the infant's developing brain. In one study, nursing professors Dr. Nicole Letourneau, Canada Research Chair in Parent-Infant Mental Health at the University of Calgary, and her colleagues found that the child's gray matter, the cerebral cortex, was thinning on MRI scanning of the brains of preschool children whose mothers had suffered depression in the middle 3 months of pregnancy. As they point out, their brain scan findings may presage later problems such as depression, anxiety, impaired impulse control, and attention difficulties in the child. Postpartum depression had similar effects, indicating that there are certain critical periods in development, both. I'm sorry, you guys. Both before birth and after, during which the young human is particularly vulnerable to the environment. Such findings align with those of multiple other studies, which point to maternal stress impacts on such brain structures as, for instance, the fear and emotional processing amygdala, and on neurological conditions such as autism. Other findings suggest strongly that many adult health challenges, everything from mental health disorders to hypertension, heart disease to diabetes, immune dysfunction to inflammation, and poor glucose metabolism to hormonal imbalance, are made more likely by intrauterine stress. Among researchers, there is a universal consensus to cite a major review paper that what are called the developmental origins of adult disease begin in the womb. Remember telomeres, the chromosomal markers of health and aging? These structures were shown to be shorter, that is, more prematurely aged, in 25-year-old adults whose mothers had undergone major stress during pregnancy. We also know from our section on epigenetics that a mom's high stress levels during gestation can negatively influence the genetic functioning of the offspring, potentially impairing his lifelong stress response capacities. Such effects have been shown to last well into midlife. Maternal stress during pregnancy has been correlated with a poor makeup of the infant's gut microbial flora, a less healthy mix of bacteria, based on fecal samples taken from newborns days and even months after birth, with a higher incidence of intestinal problems and allergies among these babies. A deficit in infant gut microbial flora is also seen after many C-sections, where the infant does not travel through the maternal birth canal. That's 10 pages. So we are going to stop. I am going to get some rest. Yeah. Take care. Shorter telomeres manifest into reduced lifespan. Yeah. So our last 10 pages that we struggled through really hard was talking about the development of children's maturity. Said that children have 4 irreducible needs, and those needs were attachment, relationship, their sense of connection and attachment to their caregivers, a sense of attachment, security, that they can express their emotions and be vulnerable without security that allows the child to rest, to feel like they don't have to earn their love. 3 was permission to feel one's emotions, especially anger and grief. And 4 was play, with no conditions, no, we'll play if you do this. And then the last 5 pages was talking about how stress affects the babies inside the mama's bellies and how it can lead to shorter lifespans, anxiety, depression, and a whole bunch more physical, mental, and emotional illnesses, including disorders. And on that note, you guys, thank you for listening. I will be back later today. LW. Say LW. I will be back after eating and napping and making dinner for my second workout, and I will be a lot more alive. Bye.